This is part 4 in a series of videos on getting started with CPN tools. In the last video we saw how to simulate a CPN model, and in this video we'll see how to actually edit a CPN model. So I've loaded in the model from last time, but somebody deleted the sender. Let's better add it back. Go to the toolbox and drag out the Create tools. The Create tools contains tools for creating transitions, places, arcs, deleting element, copying elements, and for creating guidelines. Let's get started. So the sender contained a place with packages to send and a transition for sending the packages onto the network. So let's create a place with packages to send, a transition for sending the packages, and some arcs for actually transmitting the package, like this. When we have created some net nodes, we may click on the nodes and we see a blinking cursor. The cursor allows us to change immediately the name of the place. Oops. I can press the tab key to go to the next inscription. It's the place type, so I can type in the type of the place. And the tool automatically completes with all the types I have defined in my declarations out here. So I want the type to be int times data, and I want the initial marking to be all package. Now the tool immediately syntax checks this model and says, okay, I know the int times data, but I don't know the variable or constructor all package. So I go to my declarations and create, and right click to open the marking menu to create a new declaration. And I can create a, but I don't have a lot of space out here. So we click and drag out this into the binder, and now I have a large binder where I can edit my declaration. So I can type in 1 comma and so on. If I don't want to write everything, I can simply copy and paste from my text editing program. So I go to my editing program, we have it here, select it and copy it using the standard way, Ctrl+C. And we can go back to CPN tools and select this. And we simply paste using Ctrl+V, like in any other application. I click outside of the declaration and the red halo goes away. And now the place has been checked and contains all the package we want to send. I can change this transition. I can type tab to go to the other inscriptions. Of particular interest may be this one with the @ sign, because it's used for time annotations. In order to move tokens along the arcs, I need to have arc inscriptions. So I click on the arc and I can immediately edit the arc inscription. And I can go and change the inscription of this arc. So I get an error saying that CPN tools cannot bind the variables, and this reason is that the variables N and P are not bound from any place. So I need to do that. The reason is I have an arc from the transition sent package to the place package, where instead I really want a double arc between the two. So I go to my Create palette and select the Cycle Arc tool, which allows me to change the direction of the arc, and a bunch of clicks, and I have now a double arc between the two. And I can immediately send a package, send package number 6. That was not really what we expected. We really wanted to send the first package, so we need to create the next send counter. Instead of using the tool palette, I can create the node simply by using the marking menu. So I right click and select to create a new place. And I can do the same to create an arc. So we create an arc like this. We want to copy N. We go to the place. Whoops. Type tab to go to the type. This should be an integer. And initially we want to send package number 1. Now, why didn't I get a token here? Well, the reason is I actually simulated a single step. So the tool doesn't change the current marking, only initial marking. So in order to go to the initial state and actually get a token here, go to my simulation palette and go to the initial state. We also change this arc to be a double arc, so we can consume the value down here, and we can now happily send off the first package, and we can even transmit it over the network, receive it, and transmit the acknowledgement. I can even do an interactive or an automatic simulation. Now we notice that the model continues sending package number 1 because we never increased the next send counter. That makes sense because the next send counter was increased by the receive act transition, which we haven't actually modeled yet. So let's create the receive act transition. Now I could do that using the marking menu, but there's actually an even faster way. So I right click on this place D to create a new arc, and then simply double click, and it automatically creates a transition and attaches it to the arc. So I can transmit my acknowledgement N, and I attach the arc like this, and we need an arc in the other direction, moving a value k, and we want this to be called receive act. So we can now receive the acknowledgement and continue transmitting the next packet. And so as we can see, it is very easy to incrementally build up our model. It's automatically syntax checked, so all the little errors I make on the way, I can actually fix immediately, and I can use the simulation tools to immediately check if my changes has the desired effect. This makes modeling very efficient in CPN tools. Now, just a minor thing, you'll notice that these elements are nicely aligned automatically. That's because CPN tools automatically aligns elements horizontally and vertically, so when I move around this element, it automatically snaps, so the model doesn't look too cluttered. I actually have a few other tools I can use if I want to lay out my model. So I can use a magnetic guideline. I simply apply it to the background, and then when I move the elements, the guideline highlights to indicate that an element has snapped. And now I can move all the elements of the guideline by simply moving the guideline, which can be very handy for adjusting the layout of the model. I can also go to my style palette, where I can change the color of elements, and I can change the line thickness to highlight, for instance, the main flow of the execution. So we highlight where the package is actually transmitted by using a fat line here. I can also use colors to highlight parts of the model or separate parts of the model. We'll notice that the network is a slight green color, whereas the receiver is a slight blue color. Why not make the sender a red color? So I can simply click on the elements to make them red. It's easy to distinguish. This was very briefly how to edit models using CPN tools. I thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next part where we will be doing some state space analysis.